Today, we're diving into something incredibly personal, highly relatable, and honestly, just foundational to our everyday happiness. We are talking about emotional growth. Specifically, we're going to look at the source material to map out exactly how to become more emotionally mature. It's a journey we're all on, and the strategies we're going to cover today are completely actionable.
So ask yourself honestly right now, are you emotionally mature? It's a pretty heavy question, right? I mean, we all like to think we are, but when push comes to shove, our daily habits, our sudden frustrations, and how we react under pressure, well, they sometimes tell an entirely different story. Okay, let's dive into this. It is so easy to confuse simply getting older with actually growing up. On one side, you've got physical maturity. You might have a receding hairline, or maybe you're over 6 feet tall. But emotional maturity is a completely different ballgame. It's about managing your feelings and possessing real empathy. Age alone absolutely does not guarantee emotional depth.
Let's start with a solid foundation, defining emotional maturity and what it actually looks like. Here's the working definition from our source. Emotional maturity is the ability to manage feelings in nearly any situation, possess empathy for others, and de-escalate conflicts when necessary. Think about it for a second. This perfectly describes that exact person you go to when you have a really tough issue you need to talk about, doesn't it? They're basically an anchor in a storm. And the really great news is we can all learn the skills to become that reliable person.
Moving on to phase 1, cultivating inner awareness.
That brings us to our first major concept. You have got to identify your emotions before you act on them. Because how can we possibly get a grasp on our feelings if we don't even know what they are? Imagine you're absolutely furious because your brother ate the last donut, your donut. If you just blindly react, you might yell and completely ruin your whole afternoon. But if you pause and recognize, wait, I'm literally just irritated over a donut, you prevent that minor annoyance from turning into a full-blown, all-day anger session. And this builds into a really great daily practice called cognitive restructuring. You can do this by keeping a thought diary. It's super simple. Step 1, write down your daily feelings and stressors. Step 2, review them and honestly ask yourself if that stress was actually worth it. Step 3, counteract those negative thoughts with practical, positive solutions. Doing this literally stops those automatic, harsh thinking patterns dead in their tracks. When you see the same minor stressors written down day after day, you quickly realize they just aren't worth the worry. So the absolutely crucial point is right here. Your feelings are totally valid, but you do not have to act on them. You're allowed to be angry or irritated or sad. But building this self-awareness, that gives you the ultimate superpower, the power of choice. You actually get to choose what happens next. Which leads us perfectly into phase 2, controlling your reactions. Let me ask you this, and I want you to be totally honest with yourself. Have you ever denied being wrong just because you didn't want to admit it? We have all been there. It's just human nature to get defensive in a heated moment to protect our pride. But taking responsibility, that changes everything. It holds you accountable, it helps you recognize mistakes, and it prevents you from repeating those exact same errors over and over. Facing reality and just brushing away that instinct of denial is a true hallmark of an emotionally mature person. You simply can't grow if you ignore the fact that you were wrong. To make taking responsibility a little easier, you really have to follow this incredibly valuable rule. Pause and be patient during stressful situations. Acting on pure impulse is exactly what leads us to say hurtful things we deeply regret later. By consciously choosing to take a simple pause, you give yourself the mental space to figure out and express what you actually mean. Honestly, that tiny pause can turn a massive fight into a really productive conversation. All right, moving right along to phase 3, expanding your mindset. A fantastic way to expand your mindset is to look toward a role model as a guide in tough situations. Find someone who has an amazing work ethic or someone who handles negative feedback incredibly calmly. In a tense moment, ask yourself, what would they do right now? But a quick warning from the source material here, do not lose your own identity in the process. You don't want to become them, you just want to adopt their successful techniques for handling stress. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the fascinating contrast in how we process opposing opinions. Being close-minded means judging right away and exhausting yourself trying to persuade others they're wrong. Being open-minded, on the other hand, means actively listening, trying things you thought weren't your taste, and crucially, accepting that you might actually be wrong. By just listening first, we might realize the other side has a really valid point. And speaking of role models, the source material points to Mother Teresa as an ultimate example of this expansive mindset. She brilliantly captured the essence of open-mindedness with this quote: "If you judge people, you have no time to love them." It beautifully anchors exactly why we need to stay open. Judgment immediately closes the door, while open-mindedness invites real connection and understanding. And finally, we arrive at phase 4, embracing the present. The core of this final phase really comes down to this: embrace who you are, where you are, and work towards what makes you smile. Think about how much time we waste beating ourselves up over our circumstances. Emotionally mature people stop dwelling on or suppressing their flaws. If you can change something, great, work towards that change. But if you can't change it, you need to find peace with those circumstances and fully embrace your reality. Finding that genuine acceptance brings such incredible clarity. And to share another profound piece of wisdom from Mother Teresa, peace begins with a smile. It's such a simple, beautiful reminder that transitioning from constantly fighting our flaws to simply accepting them is for sure the absolute fastest route to everyday tranquility. This ties perfectly into how we view time. Dwelling on the past brings sadness and regret. Fixating on the future brings stress and worry. Both are a massive waste of your precious energy because you simply can't change the past and you can't jump to the future. The present is literally the only place where action, choice, and actual experience happen. Staying rooted in the present is the only way we can prevent ourselves from falling backward into those old reactive habits. Mother Teresa summed this up flawlessly. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet come, we have only today. Let us begin. I absolutely love that last part. Let us begin. It's a powerful, inspiring call to action to stop waiting for the perfect moment, to stop obsessing over past mistakes, and to just start growing right now, today. So I want to leave you with this question. Which of these steps will you take today? Will you start a thought diary, take a pause during your next argument, or practice identifying your emotions before you react? Because emotional maturity isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. The choice is yours, and the time to start is right now.